In 1999, if you wanted to build a billion-dollar company, you needed massive funding, large teams, and years of infrastructure. Today, a single person with a laptop can create products, automate entire workflows, reach millions of customers, and compete with companies that once seemed untouchable. Why? Because artificial intelligence is doing something far bigger than creating chatbots or generating images. It's changing the economics of wealth itself. For the first time in modern history, access to intelligence is becoming cheap, scalable, and available to almost everyone. And whenever a technology changes who can access power, it changes who can create wealth. The question isn't whether AI will reshape the economy. The question is who will benefit from it, and who will be left behind. In 1995, having access to information was a huge advantage. If you knew something other people didn't, you could build a career around it. Lawyers had specialized knowledge. Consultants had specialized knowledge. Financial advisors had specialized knowledge. Experts were valuable because information was scarce. Then the internet arrived. Suddenly, information became abundant. Knowledge that once required years to access was available with a few clicks. The people who adapted benefited enormously. The people who didn't were left wondering why the old rules stopped working. Today, something similar is happening again. But this time, the shift may be even bigger because AI isn't just changing access to information, it's changing access to intelligence. For decades, many businesses were built around a simple reality. Human expertise was expensive. If you wanted professional writing, you hired a writer. If you wanted market research, you hired analysts. If you wanted design work, you hired designers. If you wanted customer support, you hired staff. Human intelligence was one of the most valuable resources in the economy. Is beginning to change that equation. Tasks that once required hours can now be completed in minutes. Research can be accelerated. Content can be produced faster. Software can be built more efficiently. Data can be analyzed at unprecedented speed. This doesn't mean humans are becoming irrelevant, far from it, but it does mean the value chain is shifting. And whenever value shifts, wealth shifts with it. Think about what happened during previous technological revolutions. The Industrial Revolution didn't primarily reward people who worked hardest with their hands. It rewarded those who owned factories, machines, and production systems. The internet didn't create the greatest wealth for people who merely used websites. It created extraordinary wealth for those who owned platforms, networks, and digital infrastructure. AI appears to be following a similar pattern. Many people are focusing on how AI helps them work faster. That's important. But it may not be where the biggest opportunities exist. The bigger question is, who will own the systems powered by AI? Because if AI can help one person do the work that previously required 10 people, something significant happens. The value of coordination changes. The value of scale changes. The value of ownership changes. A small team can suddenly compete with much larger organizations. An entrepreneur can launch products faster than ever before. A creator can produce content at a scale that once required an entire company. This is one reason investors and business leaders are paying such close attention to AI. They're not simply looking at a new tool. They're looking at a force that could reshape how value is created. And history suggests that whenever the cost of production falls dramatically, new winners emerge. But there's another side to this story. Every technological revolution creates anxiety. When machines entered factories, people feared losing jobs. When computers entered offices, people feared becoming obsolete. When the internet transformed industries, people feared being left behind. Some of those fears were justified. Many jobs changed, some disappeared, others were created. The same process is likely unfolding again. Certain skills that were highly valuable a few years ago may become less valuable. New skills may become extraordinarily valuable. The challenge is that nobody knows exactly how fast this transformation will occur. What we do know is that AI is reducing barriers that once protected entire industries, and when barriers fall, competition increases. The people who thrive in that environment won't necessarily be those who resist change. They'll be the ones who understand where the new value is being created, because the biggest wealth opportunities rarely come from doing old things slightly better. They come from recognizing that the rules have changed before everyone else does, and that's exactly what makes this moment so important. The question is no longer whether AI will affect wealth creation. The question is how dramatically it will rewrite the rules. Every major technological revolution creates winners and losers. Not because the technology itself chooses who succeeds, but because some people adapt to the new rules faster than others. When electricity transformed industries, wealth flowed toward those who understood how to use it. When the internet reshaped communication, wealth flowed toward those who built digital businesses, platforms, and networks. AI appears to be creating a similar moment, but what's different this time is the speed. Previous revolution unfolded over decades. AI is advancing in months. Capabilities that seemed impossible a year ago are becoming normal. And that acceleration is forcing a fundamental question. If intelligence becomes cheap, what becomes valuable? For most of modern history, wealth was often tied to specialized knowledge. If you knew something that others didn't, you had an advantage. Today, AI can explain complex topics, generate ideas, write code, analyze data, and perform tasks that once required years of training. This doesn't eliminate expertise, but it changes its role. Knowing information is becoming less valuable than knowing what to do with it. In other words, execution matters more, judgment matters more, decision-making matters more. Because while AI can generate thousands of answers, it can't fully determine which answer is worth pursuing. That's still a human responsibility, and that's where a new wealth equation begins to emerge. The biggest opportunities may not belong to people who simply use AI. They may belong to people who combine AI with distribution, ownership, and leverage. Think about it. Two people can have access to the exact same AI tools. One uses them to complete tasks faster. The other uses them to build products, audiences, businesses, and systems. The tool is identical. The outcome is not. This is why some of the most successful entrepreneurs aren't asking, "How can AI help me do my job?" They're asking, "How can AI help me create something that scales?" That's a completely different mindset because scale has always been at the heart of wealth creation. A teacher can teach 30 students. A digital platform can teach millions. A consultant can advise one client at a time. A software product can serve customers around the world simultaneously. Amplifies this principle. It allows individuals to operate at a scale that once required large organizations. And that's where the real shift is happening. The gap between individuals and institutions is shrinking. A small team can now produce work that previously required hundreds of employees. A creator can run what feels like a media company. An entrepreneur can automate processes that once demanded entire departments. The barriers to creation are falling, but as barriers fall, competition rises, which means the future won't reward access to AI alone. Almost everyone will have access. The real advantage will come from how creatively, strategically, and consistently people use it. History shows that technology rarely rewards passive observers. It rewards participants, the people who experiment, build, learn, adapt. And perhaps that's the most important lesson. AI isn't automatically creating wealth. It's creating possibility. The internet didn't make everyone rich, but it created opportunities that were unimaginable before it existed. AI is likely to do the same. Some people will use it to save time. Others will use it to transform industries. Some will see it as a threat. Others will see it as a tool. And years from now, that difference in perspective may determine who captures the greatest opportunities of this era. Because the rules of wealth creation aren't disappearing. They're evolving. And the people who understand the new rules first often gain advantages that last for decades. Now I'd like to hear your perspective. Do you think AI will create more opportunities than it destroys? Or do you believe it's going to make wealth even more concentrated in the hands of a few? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The most interesting part of any technological revolution is how differently people interpret its future. And if you enjoy exploring the forces shaping wealth, technology, business, and the future, subscribe and join us for the next deep dive. Because the biggest changes in history are often the ones that seem impossible right before they happen.